Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I had a video for you guys. The last video was when I had a tent trailer, my pop-up, and I've since upgraded to this beauty. It's a Shasta 26-foot DB. It's got a nice bunk in the back for the kids, a private queen in the front, and it was a really good upgrade from us. We love tent camping, but the old back, it's not taking it anymore. So I've made some upgrades to this one as well for sleeping and whatnot. But today's video, I'm going to walk you guys through winterization. It's always a mystery for a lot of people, especially with an RV. You know, do I blow out my lines? Do I add antifreeze? You know, what exactly is the preferred method to ensure that when the spring comes around and I open this thing up for the first time and get some water plumb through it, I don't have a bunch of leaks. Most of these campers are all being outfitted with PEX these days. PEX lines themselves have a very high tolerance for freezing, but the connections do not. So anytime you have a connection with PEX, that's your weak point. So anyway, let's get started on this video. Like I said, this just go real quick, walk through on winterization. And this method, I've already blown out my lines, and I can do that in another video if you guys are curious about blowing out your lines. It's just an air compressor hose, and it's on low pressure, and I'll show you how to do that if you guys requested it. But let's get started on winterizing this 26-foot RV with antifreeze. Let's get started real quick with identifying some of the tools that you're going to need to make this happen. So you're going to need some kind of wrench. I've got a crescent and as well as an adjustable wrench. Your your water heater has a plug on it, drain plug, depending on how well you've cranked that thing down. It's very difficult to get in there, and you can see my application. This is a Dometic, so this is a very similar application that most of you will have. There's the plug, this is the hole. As you can see, it's very difficult to get in there, and you've got to crank this thing down really good to keep it from leaking. So I've got a couple of different wrenches here, and I found that the adjustable wrench worked the best. You also need some RV and boat or marine antifreeze. This stuff is preferred. You don't want to use this stuff for your car for a couple of reasons. One, the stuff for your car, it's in some cases it's 50-50, so you still have to add water. But also, it's not really food safe or human safe. Not that you can go and drink RV and marine antifreeze, but it is designed to go through lines that you're going to have water passing through that you're going to consume. So potable water. Again, don't use the car antifreeze. That's not what you want here. You want the pink stuff, RV and marine. And then I've got two more things here. I've got a Phillips screwdriver, which again, your application may be different, but the panels that I'm going to show you inside here in just a minute required a Phillips screwdriver to open those up. And then the last thing is I've got about a 3.5 to 4 foot stretch of old water hose. It was an old marine grade or water inlet hose that I was using for my camper before, and one of the ends became unserviceable, so I just cut off the end that I needed. You're going to need the male end, which actually, if you have it, this is what the application calls for. You're going to have an antifreeze inlet on the side of your RV. And this is where we're actually going to thread this into this end right here. The other end is simply going to go into the bucket. I've already tore away the seal. This thing is ready to go, and we're going to go inside here in just a moment, and I'll show you the application panels that you'll have to, or the panels you have to access with your pump as well as your water heater. Let's go inside. All right, so I'm inside the RV. And for most people, the access panel is going to be right under your sink. So you'll see I've got a couple panels that I've opened up here. One of which is the panel for the water heater. This was just 4 screws going around it, just an access panel here. And the other one is the access into the water pump, which is located right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to bypass our water heater. And the reason why we're going to do that, which by the way, this is your bypass hose, and you'll see on the valves here that they're pointed in towards the water heater. Okay, that's important. The valve points in the direction that the water is going to go. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to turn these down. Okay, so we're turning off the water heater. We don't want any of this antifreeze to go into the water heater. That's the whole point behind this. And we're going to turn the hot one off as well. Once those are both in the down position, and again, your application may be different, but most of these water heaters, they're installed en masse in thousands of RVs across the United States, all branded by roughly the same name. You got Forest River, Thor, you've got several different kinds. So this is probably the application that's going to work for you. The other thing you're going to want to do in here is you see you have another valve right over there. That is your water pump valve. And there's a blue hose that goes, it's a three-way valve here, or two-way rather, but it's a three connection. One of those hoses goes out to that inlet that we talked about earlier for your RV antifreeze. So what we're going to do is, instead of sending the water to the water pump, we're going to have the water pump pull water from outside by rotating that this way. And what that's doing is that's cutting off the water supply that we have from either municipal water or our tank beneath the camper. And we're going to have the water pump try and suck water out of the antifreeze jug. And I'll show you that back outside. All right, we're back outside. And as I mentioned earlier, we went ahead and screwed in the male connection into your antifreeze inlet on the outside of your camper. And we dropped the other end into the jug. It's really that easy. Like I said, this is about a 4-foot length. You probably could get by with shorter if that's all you had, or if you end up with a pretty short piece, a nice short run there, you could put a stool out here and set that jug on. But the idea really is that you just need the hose to get into the bottom of the jug, and a nice stiff rigid hose like this works well because it doesn't curl up at the bottom of the jug and make siphoning out the remainder of the antifreeze difficult. All right, let's go back inside. All right, so on my RV, on the left side as I enter the camper, I have my access panel, or my control panel rather, for all of the things in my camper. For instance, water, the water heater, my slide, my awning, and my indoor and outdoor lights. The one we're going to be most concerned with here is the water pump. So we're going to go ahead and turn the water pump on, and you'll hear it engage. And at the same time, you can start looking at the jug, and you can see it's filling the pump up. It's priming the pump essentially with the antifreeze. Now we're actually ready to turn this on, and we can start sending water through. And we're going to do hot and cold, both. Something important I forgot to mention, because I forgot to do it, is that you're going to have low point drains. I've already pulled those open, and that's where I blew out the water through my lines. I forgot to put those back in before I turned on the water pump. So a good bit of my antifreeze wound up, unfortunately, on my driveway. So I heard the splashing, so I ran outside, turned the water pump off, and reinstalled my low point drains. And I think we're ready to continue getting these lines in the camper filled. All right, we're back. Pump on. There it goes. Now, should be ready to send some water through here. It is, and you can see we got nice pink line coming through. Let's turn it to the cold till it runs pink. Okay. Now the reason why we're going to do it on this side is because we got to get that P-trap with some antifreeze in it as well. So we're just going to turn that on for just a second and get some antifreeze down in that P-trap. All right. Now, because I mentioned a second ago that I expelled most of my antifreeze on the driveway, I'm already out. So typically one jug, maybe a jug and a half will get this done. So let me go replace my jug, and I'll be right back. Okay, I left the pump running while I swapped out the jug. It's nothing harmful there. As you can see, I got a full jug, and we're ready to go back towards the rear of the camper. Back here in the camper, you're going to have a couple of different things you're going to want to do. You've got a sink. I'm going to run that, obviously, until it gets pink. All right, now on these Shasta travel trailers, all of the newer Shastas come with this sanitation sink, which is super nice to have outside, but it is a place that a lot of people forget. So do not forget about running your lines with these. So you're going to turn this on. Now, I got to give you a reminder that there is a storage tank under this. There is no drain for this. So it's under there, and you're going to want to make sure you get some antifreeze to your line, but also in your tank. Or you can just drain your tank, of course, if you didn't, you know, want to put antifreeze in it. And the place that people forget about, I think, more than anything, is your shower. So you definitely want to make sure that you run some antifreeze to your shower, since it is external. Same thing. Just turn the water on. Until it goes pink. Both sides. All right. Here we go, Team Sue. I've sucked both those dry, so it probably was a good two jugs. So I'll add that to the notes at the beginning. Just might as well get two. I had two on hand. I usually have two in case I anticipate a spill, which of course I didn't anticipate it. It happened, so I'm just prepared for that. But now we're ready to you're going to disconnect this. You're going to stow your cap. You're going to put this inside your camper for the winter. And the last thing you're going to want to do is come over here, and you're going to button up your water heater with your valve, your plug there. Just tighten that up, seal this off, and you should be ready to go for the winter. Well, I made a few mistakes along the way in that video, but I think you got the idea. It's pretty simple. It's really just attention to detail, and get your antifreeze right, making sure you don't forget any of your drains. After you've blown it out, if you choose not to, you don't have to blow out your lines. I do. We're in Virginia, Southwest Virginia, so sometimes we get a harsh winter, and if you have any residual water in those lines, if you've just blown your lines out and you did not add antifreeze, you do run the risk of damaging your hardware. You don't want to break a line and then find out at your first camping spot that you've got a leak and you've got no water. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please don't forget to ask them below, or don't hesitate to ask, and I'll see what I can do about getting them addressed. Thanks again, guys.